You're right.
Let's move
GG.
on now to our final review of the evening. It is of a little film, a little sci-fi indie title called Aliens. Came out quite a while ago, so let me tell you a story about how this one got made. It's a 1986 science fiction action film helmed by three-time Oscar-winning Canadian-born writer-director James Cameron. It is the sequel to the Ridley Scott 1979 science fiction horror film Alien, and the second film in the Alien franchise. Set in the far future, the film stars Sigourney Weaver as Lieutenant Ellen Ripley, the sole survivor of an alien attack on her ship. When communications are lost with a human colony on the moon on which her crew first encountered the alien creatures, Ripley agrees to return to the site with a troop of colonial marines to investigate. Aliens features Michael Bine, Paul Reiser, Lance Henriksen, and Carrie Henn in supporting roles. It was released on July 18, 1986 to critical acclaim and received a number of awards and nominations, including an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress for Weaver at a time when the science fiction genre was generally overlooked. The film earned close to $183 million during its theatrical run, one of the highest grossing films of 1986 worldwide. It is now considered to be among the greatest films of the 1980s, one of the best science fiction or action films ever made, and one of the best sequels ever made. It has been called equal to or better than Alien and is credited with expanding the franchise's scope with additions to the series' lore and factions such as colonial marines. Its universally positive reception is reflected in its online ratings as well, earning an IMDb score of 8.3, placing it number 73 in the site's top films of all time, and a Metascore of 84. Gentlemen, take a stab at the Rotten Tomatoes.
91.
92.
Oh, you bitch.
7.
Oh,
Certified fresh. No shock there. Hands up who hadn't seen this one. Anyone else? Just me?
oh, you shame.
No, it's all good. I want to hear your thoughts. Mr. Mira, let's go to you first, sir. Like I said,
Yes,
heralded as
yeah.
one of the greatest action films, one of the greatest films of all time. What are your thoughts on Aliens?
So I actually hadn't seen it before, like a couple of years ago. And when I say a couple of years, like I don't know, like 8 years ago or something like that. So it wasn't a movie that I grew up watching because it had aliens in it and it was a spook. And I was like, too scary for me. But then I finally watched it, and man, this movie is like, when you look back at like things that inspired other things, Aliens is one of those movies that inspired everything. Like there's Alien and then there's Aliens, and so if you look at Aliens, you like there's Sergeant Johnson from Halo in there. There's like the colonial like space marines in there. You've got all of this lore about like colonies and just so many cool sci-fi tropes that you can all look back and say this is the one that helped make it mainstream, right? Because I'm sure there's a whole heap of things that made it like that James Cameron took from as well. Man, they don't make movies like they do nowadays, like the way they made this. The amount of miniatures they use, all the props, all the just so much love and care and detail put into this film. Whereas now, like so many things are so iconic purely from this film. I mean, you look at the exoskeleton, like the loader thingy, a lot of the quotes from it, a whole heap of like lines, and the and even like the pulse rifle. Everyone knows pulse rifle shoots 10mm caseless exploding rounds, don't they? I mean, like it's so. This movie is so iconic, and well deserved, like in the top 100 movies of all time in IMDb list. But like, this movie came out like how many years after the original? Like 6 years or something like that. 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, I think 7 years. 1979 was Alien, and this is 86. Yeah. It did have a troubled production. A lot of back and forth. I think Pinewood was the UK-based production team, and they and Cameron clashed heads quite a few times. So it was drawn out, to say the least.
But like at the end of the day, it really paid off, didn't it? I mean, these are one of the few examples of like troubled production hell that actually paid off. This movie is awesome, and I think you're exactly right in what you said earlier, Shane. Like, this movie took Alien and just expanded it, not in the way that it's like, not in the way that Matrix Resurrection did, or what Matrix Reloaded did with the first Matrix, where it kind of like, oh yeah, there's a whole heap thing, but now it's all like dubstep, rave music, and everyone, and 90% of the world is wearing leather.
I think
and
that was the
latex.
pitch actually for the sequel. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Matrix 2, Matrix, but dubstep.
Yeah, pretty much, right? You know, but
Rave orgies for
this
2.5 minutes.
Yes, that was a few actual minutes dedicated to. So like this film like actually expanded the universe in a way that was believable, the way that it's considered like ultimately canon. You know, this is like the Empire Strikes Back of A New Hope. And what you said earlier, like this is commonly held on par to Alien. This like, and the two awesome movies just happen to be two different genres. Like when we spoke about Alien, it was a spooky film, a lot of spooks happening, but like you could see behind the movie that there were all of these like droppings of this is what the expanded universe is like. And James Cameron with Aliens just took it to the next step. Like this movie is in there with the top 100 films in my list. You know, if you want to know what type of person I'm like, you know, watch Aliens, because this is one of those things where I thought, you know, this is why I love sci-fi. This is why I love like Space Marines. This is why I like Halo. This is awesome. And you know, a badass female lead was Sigourney. Oh my god, what? Sigourney Weaver. She's just awesome. Plays that role of like the PTSD space captain who has to literally go back to the place that started it all, with like what feels like for like everyone else in the universe is 57 years ago. For her, it was literally the next day. Like in that cryo chamber, you know, having to wake up and then go straight back there. Man, that's insane. But I tell you, again, little kids, man. Like, I would have just left that kid. I would have shot that kid. These are Space Marines.
Yeah.
How can they?
It's just a kid. Oh, I'll take care of it. You know.
Yeah. How can they miss?
No, wait. Save ammo. Use the knife. You know.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, it was really interesting to see how she evolves throughout the film, and even towards by the end, like at the start of the film, she's like, "Freaking synthetics! Like, stay the hell away from me." So like, you know, tapping him on the shoulder, like, thank you. And then, but man, the special effects are just so cool. Like this is like OG special effects, like no like overly done CGI, all miniatures, cool prop work, cool practical effects, and yeah, so cool. I feel like this is one of my favorite movies, so I'm just gonna gush about it, right? Man, the auto turrets and just like seeing all the aliens come in and just so cool. So
you
cool.
Have a favorite quote, Jace, or a couple of quotes that are your favorites?
Like I always get it wrong, but it's like, I like to keep this for close encounters.
I like to keep this handy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, and obviously you've got the "get away from her, you bitch," and "game over, man, game over." Yeah.
Those are so overplayed. I hate hearing them now. Like when other people do them, I'm just like, oh, come on, pick a different quote. I love the one where they're using the distance sensor and they're like, you know, like 12 meters, 11 meters, 7 meters. That's inside the room, man. He's like, it's right, man. He's freaking out.
Yeah.
That whole scene is masterful in my mind. I'll quickly, you know, take the ball and run with the chase. Yeah, that whole scene is masterful. Like literal countdown to the horror, the action, the suspense. Yeah, love that. I totally see why this is heralded as one of the greatest films of all time, and is seen and how it has informed you know, sci-fi moving forward. Jason, you I think that night I just got done watching it. We jumped in and played some Halo. I think I was originally just matched up with Ben before everyone else joined, and I mentioned, I was like, holy cow, like I see it now. I see everything that that Halo took as inspiration. It's the hexagonal corridors throughout the Pillar of Autumn and all the UNSC ships. It's the assault rifle design. It's the snout of the Pelican dropship and how it resembles that of the alien ship. It is, yes, literally Sergeant Johnson being a straight rip of the sergeant in that film as well. That truly blew my mind. Like, holy cow, yeah, they weren't wrong when they said, yeah, Halo is definitely inspired by, at least visually, from a lot of what was done with Aliens. I'll quickly touch on, you mentioned, Jace, all the practical special effects. I think this is just a shining example of classic filmmaking that still holds up to this day. Like, I was on the edge of my seat for so many of these scenes. That whole sequence in the medical bay where Ripley and Newt are locked in, and you got the face hugger running around, like that is just like, also the editing in that to make, like, just it informs, it's like, it's such great storytelling. Like that whole scene with waving to the camera, cutting to the observation room or whatever, the control room, and like the panning across to see that it is, I'm forgetting the name of Paul Reiser? Burke's character.
Yep.
Yeah, Paul Reiser. His character, he's the one who's set up this ambush.
Did he turn off the monitor too?
He did turn off the monitor.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was probably one of my favorite moments. Also, another one of my favorite moments, again harkening back to just the high quality production. This is something you and I discussed, Ben, the other night when I just came off my viewing, is that whole sequence with like the Queen, the egg laying, again, like the way that scene's constructed as well, where she's communicating in a way to the Queen, non-verbally, and they understand one another, but then Ripley does what Ripley has to do. Like, and I love that moment, because at first I was like, oh no, don't do it, just leave. It's like, no, this is Ripley. She is true to her character. She doesn't want anyone to go through what she went through and burn it to hell. She's the one who says, let's nuke the damn place. So you should be placing bets on the fact that she's not leaving that room without, causing some damage. And I love how that whole scene plays out. Like, everything about it is just fantastically done. And man, like, just again, I said this about Alien as well, but just the design, the production value, all like, just like the disgustingness of it all. Like, it feels like that, like those props, those aliens, those eggs, everything about that entire room could be from a film made today, and I'd be exclaiming its fantastic production design as well. I just think it's classic filmmaking that stands the test of time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's a very simple story as well, right? Like, I think it's sort of like, what's the right word? I was gonna say it shocks me that it went through such a troubled production, but I don't know the backstory to it. Maybe Pinewood wasn't happy with like how action it was going to be, or the direction they were taking with all these new characters. I'm not sure, but man, I'm so thankful that Cameron at least got this version out to audiences, and we get to enjoy it in the way that it exists today. I'm not sure much more I can say without with just raving, and I'm sure I'm just repeating things that have been said for the last almost 40 years. So Ben, I might throw it to you to see if there are any more unique thoughts that could be said about Aliens.
Oh, Jason Merritt did it again. He's taken like all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Even down to, like, the assault rifle design and the world building thing. Like, I had a few notes on that. You did all of those. The one thing that I love that introduced, actually two things. Just before Predator came out, this movie came out, I think, and so you've got the similarities between the two, where you've got, they're in the chopper or whatever, they're riding in to battle, and you've got seeing all the character, how they act under pressure. They're about to go in potentially to a firefight, potentially dangerous, life-threatening, all that kind of crap. And you got the guy who falls asleep, and you got the guy, who plays pranks, and you got the guy who talks too much and braggadocio, and you've got the woman that's like more butch than the guys, and like all of those things are like totally now copied and pasted in other action films in particular. But so like I love that kind of stuff.
It did remind me a lot of Edge of Tomorrow, actually, like that whole battalion, like that whole squad as well. Like, there's a lot of those tropes.
Well, I mean, like, Bill Paxton is there as well.
Is that
yeah,
true?
that's a good point. Yeah.
And they actually have like a, like a colored woman, like for real, instead of just a white woman in color. And
Wait, who?
the lady who
Vasquez?
plays Vasquez is a white woman. So
Well,
I
so
love
she, from what I understand, she actually is. She's the stepmom in Terminator 2. So
Yeah.
I think they actually just colored her skin and told her to play like a Latino.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
Hmm.
figure as well. There's this scene that the only scene that really ages the film is the one where she's in the meeting at the start, giving her synopsis of the first film, basically like her recap of what happened
Oh
in the
yeah.
promo. And old
Yeah.
mate insurance guy, bean counter, says like the damage you caused cost us like 42 million in adjusted currency or whatever, adjusted dollars, and that's not even including the payload or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, 42 million, like missing a few zeros. Like that shit was huge, like humongous, like ridiculous. Yeah, I imagine how they came up with that number. I don't know. They just Googled like how much did the spaceship cost to take us to like the Apollo 11 ship cost to build, and then they're just like, let's just double it, or something like that. That'll be it. That'll be what it's worth in 2250. I don't know I can't remember what the year is in the Aliens movie. There was some stuff that you said to your points as well, Shane, I really loved, but I'm just struggling to catch back up to what they were to remember. I should have written them all down. I had like back and forths and questions and stuff that I was going to ask. Crap.
I was talking about production design. I was talking about classic filmmaking.
Oh, right. This is dumb. This is a dumb thought. I probably should have left it forgotten, but I've recalled it again. I think people overlook the answer that you get when people are like, "Oh man, if I had a time machine, I would, like go and kill Hitler or all that BS, or I'd go on a date with Marilyn Monroe or whatever." I think that lots of people would go to the set of the Queen Chamber Alien Room just to like jerk off in it because it's like it'd be such a cool set just to look around. Like nothing in that whole place comes from the world. Like they had to build everything in that room for that scene. Like imagine just walking through there. You got like all the pods, and you've got like the mechanized Queen just like hanging there with the whole the whole rig just going on, and then the huge cool tube of eggs and all the goo that they probably had to invent to smear on everything.
The way they reveal the Queen is amazing. Like it's just first, like to your point, Ben, like the one sort of like larvae hatching appendage of the Queen, and it slowly pans up and you realize there are dozens of these eggs being stored in this sack, and this sack is actually attached to something, and it's alive, and it's like the xenomorph but much larger and much more intricate, and it's awake and it knows Ripley's there, and oh my god, holy cow, I can't believe there's a bigger threat than the xenomorphs we were just looking at.
And they allude to it. It's like, how are they multiplying that? Like, there must be something else that we haven't seen yet. And then you see it at the end.
Somebody says, like, who's laying the eggs? I don't know. Somebody says something about where they're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to get you ready to be shocked when you see it. So
that goes to show, like you're talking about, like the way you've never seen, like that H.R. Geiger is the original alien designer of the actual xenomorph creature itself. Like goes to show, like his artwork is very quite unique.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if you remember that game that they revealed, the gross one called Scorn. Yeah, it's H.R. Geiger as well. So that's gross.
I used to do this thing in my head, like I didn't tell people that I did this, but like whenever it was summer and I was on like a leather couch or whatever, and like it sticks to your legs, and you get up and it's like your legs peel off, I would pretend that I was the Queen, like detaching the sack to go after them, like how she like just goes, and you see it like tear and the rip, and then it's just like that. I would do that. I would like tear off the lounge and I'd just be like,
amazing,
run off, and my mum would go like, I don't know what's wrong with my son.
There's the whole.
I'm just glad he got up after hours of watching movies on the lounge on a summer day. Just glad he's up and about now.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have one criticism, and it's kind of like a really moment, and that is the Queen realizing the elevator. I can't.
Oh, right.
I can't buy it.
Can you see almost, that meme where like all these equations and geographic
Right.
measurements,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
stuff
the
like
thinking
flying
meme. Yeah.
past us are like just figuring shit out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. Like, I know it's an intelligent creature. I feel as like it's the sort of thing you'd expect in a Jurassic Park film, where it's like the velociraptors figure out how to operate automatic doors or something like that. Like they, but a step further. And I can't. The idea of just like ding, just like it's like
there's no room.
Yeah, you didn't expect me to be here.
There's no room for a Malcolm in that movie to say something like, "It's surprising they haven't figured out how to ride elevators." Because that's what they say in Jurassic Park.
Right.
Just before you see them opening the door, it's like,
Oh,
surprised
right,
that they haven't figured out how to open doors, and then they literally just open the door to the kitchen and come in and cause havoc for the kids.
Yeah. So I think that was kind of the one moment from him, like, I don't know, but no, overall.
But they are guilty of another cinema sin. It's like they're getting the briefing. The Colonial Marines are getting the briefing when they're already on the way there.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have you been briefed what the mission is
Been briefed
before you
already.
went on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, according to them, they only need to know one thing: where. The quote that I like. Sometimes you watch a movie that you love so much and you haven't seen in a while, and you realize that there's like quotes in there that you say in real life, but you don't even know that you're quoting a film or a character in a movie, and it's a little bit obvious, but like I say it all the time, and I don't even realize it anymore. When we get in the car and we're going somewhere, I'll say, "Punch it, Bishop," and because that's what she says when she jumps in the transporter. She's like, "Punch it, Bishop," and he gets out.
He punches it.
Yeah, he punches it.
Oh wow! I'm just realizing that Chief says that in Halo at the end of the first level. Yeah,
right on, Chief.
In the escape pod.
Yeah, the escape pod. Yeah.
Punch it. Sir. And then, boom.
Well, I guess we're playing Halo after this, aren't we?
So, any other thoughts, James, before we wrap it up?
Oh, it's just I don't know whether it's luck or skill, or both, but it's crazy how relevant it is. Like, I don't think James Cameron's like making this movie and thinking like, all right, my vision for this is like, I want to make a movie that's going to like impress a teenager in 40 years, like be as convincing to someone. Like, I can see the arc of cinema to some degree, as James Cameron is making the arc of cinema, but he can like see where movies are going. He can see where realism is a factor, like, and computer graphics are going to fall off. Like, I'm sure that was in his sights in the 80s. So he goes and makes these decisions to reduce as much as possible so that you don't get that stupid explosion at the end of the first Alien movie. It's not as bad as that. Literal like drawings flying at you, and you're like, oh no, but back in 79 or whatever, been like being exploded. I don't know how dumb people were back then, but they must have been, because not convincing to us right now, right? But yeah, this movie still super convincing, especially when they're on the ground, when they're in the complex, when they're in the tunnel, when they're in the underground stuff. They're moving between the complex and the base. All of that stuff. It's like, yeah, I guess they went to an alien planet and shot there with some aliens in it. Like, they may as well have, because you can't say like, oh, I see what they've done there. They've taken this old blender and colored it black. You know how some movies have that? Like, they've got a cool looking gadget that looks like this will be what things look like in the future, and they just put it on a desk. And it's like, I don't think they did that kind of thing in this film. It really, down to the costumes, like people, didn't have like, oh wait, crap, did they have like huge shoulder pad suits and stuff at the start of the film? I don't know if they did.
Not that I remember.
So. No.
I don't think so either. But yeah,
I mean, like the suits in the boardroom definitely were of the time. That's for sure. But that's about it.
But they weren't shoulder pads,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my only thought. Like, just how you can thread that needle and stay on course for so many decades, so that it's still like, it's still a pedestal in this genre that people are still trying to achieve.
And credits to that, like, look at how like Alien 3 fell, like people still consider this as like the Aliens movie to go back to create sequels from, as opposed to creating it, starting it from Aliens Resurrection. It's like Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection didn't exist. Like this is the standard to start from and then go to. Very interesting.
That's exactly where I wanted to take the conversation, as someone who's only just seen the
No,
first
no,
two.
it doesn't matter. Just
there is no value in me watching any of the other films.
I haven't. No, that's a lie. I've seen Alien Resurrection, the one with Winona Ryder, and I didn't care for it.
It's fine. It's all right.
But you do have to watch as Alien vs Predator. No, you don't. Don't watch that. Don't watch
Prometheus is really nice. Prometheus is a cool flick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Prometheus is prequel, yes?
Yeah, Prometheus has divided a lot of people.
Okay, alright. It's probably worth a shot if there's a 50-50 chance of me enjoying it. But Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, you'd say don't even bother?
I wouldn't. I mean, like, viewers, if you're watching this, let us know if you liked it. There is a bit
Alien Covenant, 2017?
That's the sequel to Prometheus.
Okay, so I'll decide whether it's worth watching based on whether I enjoy Prometheus.
That's right.
Alright, I'll give Prometheus a go then. Sounds good. There you go. Aliens. It's a 1986 film. You might have heard of it. It's available right now on Disney Plus if you'd like to check it out for yourself.